a Korean Army veteran who proudly served alongside the U.S. military during the Vietnam War. Nam would later move to America and Southern California permanently.
He gave up his entire identity and had a much tougher life for himself and my mother so that his kids and his grandchildren could have a much better life. And that's the story of a lot of immigrants that come here.
It's a story that ends tragically. Police say Nam was killed as he tried to cross the street on January 7th. It happened near Vermont Avenue and Francisco Street in the Harbor Gateway area. Police say Nam was walking to church, as he did almost every morning, when he was hit.
Someone left Mr. Nam to die in this street and failing to stop at a scene of an accident. And that's what it was, an accident, until the coward left and made it a crime.
The suspect's car is described as a dark blue or purple late model Dodge Challenger, similar to this one. Authorities are offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the driver. Meantime, Nam's son suggests changes on this stretch of road near the church.
There's no crosswalk for a quarter of a mile, and the cars are like always speeding. There should be some kind of warning.
Not to mention justice for a grieving family. In Harbor Gateway, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Anyone with additional information on this case is urged to call police at 877 LAPD 24/7. Well, LA is one step closer to becoming an Olympic destination in 2024. City leaders have just announced their top venues in the city, should the City of Angels get the Olympic nod. Here's Anna Marcos with more.
LA is a front runner to host the 2024 Summer Olympics, and city leaders believe it would make the ideal host with its sunny climate, global diversity, and Olympic and leisure amenities. In fact, over 1,000 Olympic athletes already live in Southern California.
In fact, Dawn Harper Nelson is training for Rio 2016 right here at Drake. She actually just trained and ran up the stairs to come to this press conference, the same training grounds that produced Jackie Joyner-Kersee and Rayford Johnson.
We all decide every single day that this is where we want to hit the track to push forward.
City leaders promised to have the most athlete-oriented Olympics ever, and now they've announced two top venues for LA's proposed Olympic plan. USC would be home to Media Village, where news outlets from around the globe would convene and stay, and UCLA would host the Olympic Village and all the athletes.
Having UCLA serve as home to the 2024 Olympic Village will be a great boost to the local economy and will be enjoyable for everyone who attends.
LA is competing against several cities, including Paris, Rome, and Budapest, for Olympic honors.
This is the greatest city on the planet, and it is our honor to compete to try to represent the United States of America.
For this Olympics, sustainability and keeping costs down have become a big focus in choosing the host site. City leaders say UCLA and USC already offer Olympic world-class sports amenities, as well as much of the housing needed.
The Olympics need to be able to be sustainable, both from an environmental and a fiscal standpoint, for the next generation and the next century to come. That is what this is.
The LA City Council is set to vote on the Olympic plan on February 5th. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The International Olympic Committee will pick the host city for the 2024 Olympics in September of 2017. While the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers began their latest mission to improve the LA River's capability to handle storm flows during this El Nino winter, Rasha Goel has more.
These 3-foot-high sand barriers were recently put up along a portion of the LA River to reduce the risk of flooding during the rainy season.
And we're doing that by increasing the capacity of the channel with these HESCO barriers.
The project is focused on the stretch alongside the Golden State 5 freeway through Atwater Village, where river bottom vegetation growth has cut the capacity of the river nearly in half. But the Army Corps is trying to fix that.
We plan to increase it to about 2/3 to 3/4 of its original design capacity with this project.
Some residents say as long as it's temporary, they're okay with it. They don't want these barriers to be a permanent fixture.
Everyone around here needs access to the river, needs to be able to get down to the river. That's the whole point of a natural bottom like the one we are fortunate enough to have in this neighborhood.
Officials say even with the added protection, it is still possible intense prolonged rainfall could send river flow over the top of the barriers. The Corps is advising residents to consider flood insurance and to know their escape routes. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Officials say the barriers will be removed 60 days after the flood season is over. Well, it's a move aimed to make LA a greener place as the Screen Actors Guild Awards teams up with an environmental group to plant trees. The event inspired a red carpet, or should we say green carpet? Anna Marcos explains.
It has all the trappings of glitzy Hollywood, the media buzz, and the star power, as actress Katie Lowes from the TV show Scandal steps up for the cameras. But this event by the LA River is about something a little greener.
It's important to us to offset our carbon footprint.
The SAG Awards show is known for its yearly ceremony that honors top actors in TV and film and which helps open the Oscar season. But now the show's committee has teamed up with American Forests, a nonprofit environmental group.
Working together with partners like the SAG Awards, we will help to cool the planet, make our water and air cleaner, and slow the progression of climate change.
First on the agenda, planting the symbolic tree near the LA River.
Each of us and every industry has to address the issue of taking care of our planet.
We have 116,000 members who are voting on the SAG Awards this year. And rather than sending big, heavy paper ballots, we sent a postcard and our members are voting online. We saved something in the neighborhood of 4 tons of paper.
I mean, look, we live in this awesome city that needs help and it needs restoration.
But this tree is only the beginning. The new partnership will help plant 1,250 trees in fire-damaged areas of the Angeles National Forest. Even LA city leaders took time out to hobnob with the stars.
You film Scandal in City Hall on occasion.
All the time.
And you use our hearing room, which I love. My office is right behind the hearing room. Okay, so come by and say hello.
Okay.
As for Lowes, she's now off to work on the set of Scandal, and she's looking forward to the SAG Awards show.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm so psyched to be going. I've never gone before. I have to go get fitted.
It seems Tinseltown glitz and a greener planet can go hand in hand with the planting of a tree. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The group American Forests has so far planted 50 million trees. While some of the top local science students rack their brains in preparation for lightning round competition, LA Science Bowl championships are fast approaching. Gil Reyes reports from the practice sessions.
From what chamber of the human heart does blood carried by the pulmonary artery leave?
Over 200 students blinding me with science.
Interrupting captain. Why? Why is correct. 4 points for Team B.
Such intensity, and this is just practice. The high school students are training for the upcoming Regional Science Bowl Championships at LADWP headquarters and auditorium.
Oh, because I want to win.
49 teams from 26 different schools will go head-to-head. The winner will advance to the National Science Bowl competition in Washington, D.C.
Oh, it's an excellent competition. It's done in a great spirit of sportsmanship. The students prepare hard for it. It encourages the students to continue to study science.
The LA Department of Water and Power hosts the event every year. Part of the goal is to encourage young people to pursue careers in science and technology.
And we hope one day that they will work for DWP or for city government in engineering capacity or IT.
Well, the subjects I like to study are chemistry and physics.
I like numbers. I like working with numbers, and all those formulas and equations are interesting.
But we've been studying a lot, trying really hard.
They'll need all the brain power they can muster when the real contest kicks off on Saturday, February 20th. At the LADWP headquarters, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
North Hollywood High School will enter the contest as the favorite, having won 16 of the last 18 Science Bowl competitions. While amnesty for people with overdue library books. Return them within the next 2 weeks and have all past fines waived. And it doesn't matter how long the book you borrowed has been missing. Gil Reyes has more from the Central Library. Gil.
Yeah, Yana, this is one of the funniest, quirkiest stories I've ever had the pleasure of covering here at LA This Week, because simply it doesn't matter. 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years, or 40 years, you can have your fines stricken from the record books, but you have to act now. Perhaps you've been guilty in the past of a long overdue library book. So how overdue was yours?
Oh, it was about months.
It was a few years.
I think I ended up paying about $25 or $30.
But now, amnesty for those who've checked out library books and never returned them. All fines will be forgiven if you return the book to any city library branch on or before Valentine's Day, February 14th.
No questions asked, all fines waived. Really interested in getting those materials back on the shelf so that people across the city can enjoy them again.
If I checked out a book here when I was in 7th grade, let's say.
Bring it back. We'll smile and welcome it back and put it up on the shelf and waive your fines.
John Sabo, LA City librarian, hopes the program will reunite 133,000 overdue books to LA City library shelves. Many of the books with the old classic card pockets still inside, missing after all these decades.
And who knows what we might get back. We might get some very interesting materials like the book you checked out when you were in the 7th grade.
Sabo also hopes to reintroduce people scared off by late fees to an updated public library system, one that also offers e-books, streaming films, and citizenship materials.
It's going to bring a lot of people back.
Do you have any overdue books right now?
No.
Well, in case you do, better act fast. The LA City Library plans to close the books on the amnesty program for good within a couple of weeks.
Anybody has overdue books, hey, just bring them in. There you go.
Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Now, you only have till February 14th to return books. Do so at any of the 73 LA City Library branches. Well, it's countdown time as city leaders get ready to demolish a beloved LA landmark, the 6th Street Bridge. City leaders screened a new documentary which takes a look at LA's most iconic bridges. Anna Marcos has more.
The city of LA has turned movie maker. The premiere screening of its new documentary, Bridging Los Angeles, brought out the crowds as the city gets ready to demolish one of its iconic gems, the 6th Street Bridge, to make room for a newer, safer replacement. City engineer Gary Lee Moore was executive producer for the project.
You know, the 6th Street Bridge, the 6th Street Viaduct, it is history. And unfortunately, it's sick. So we have to replace that bridge.
As a kid, I used to ride my bike over that bridge practically every day. When I was told that it had to be taken down, my initial reaction was, no, we're not going to take it down.
Bridges are our monuments in public works, and it hurts me to see that we would let this bridge go.
But city leaders finally made their peace with letting the bridge go. Late last year, they said goodbye with a huge party that drew more than 10,000 people. Bridge fans got a sneak peek at models of what the future bridge will look like. And now this documentary will serve as one last parting gift for a bridge that helped LA grow and served as a backdrop for many Hollywood movies. The documentary also highlights LA's other bridges.
Really, our main objective was to bring people back to the river, bring people back to the bridges. Many people we've spoken to over the years didn't even realize there was a river or that these bridges existed.
Demolition on the 6th Street Bridge begins this week. The new replacement could be completed in 2019. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The entire demolition project is expected to last about 9 months. And in preparation for the demolition, officials will be closing a portion of a major freeway. The LA City Council outlaws chewing tobacco in all LA area ballparks, and you may soon be paying more for parking at Griffith Park. All these stories and more in City Beat. As demolition of the 6th Street Bridge gets underway, a 2.5-mile segment of the 101 freeway will be closed to traffic from the Santa Monica Freeway split to the interchange of the Golden State 10 and 101 freeways south of downtown Los Angeles, starting on Friday, February 5 at 10 p.m. until Sunday, February 7th at 2 p.m. Mayor Eric Garcetti encouraged drivers to plan ahead and follow detour signs.
While I'm well aware that the closure will cause delays for all of us, believe me, it will be worth it in the long term.
The Los Angeles City Council approved an ordinance banning the use of chewing tobacco at all baseball fields and other athletic venues in the city of Los Angeles. Officials say the move sets the right example for America's youth and for the health of the players. The Los Angeles Dodgers have publicly supported the City Council's efforts to eliminate smokeless tobacco use, and the new ordinance will be in effect before the 2016 baseball season gets underway at Dodger Stadium, where the ban covers players, team staff, personnel, and fans alike. The ordinance was spearheaded through legislation introduced in June by Councilmember Jose Huizar with the support of Council members David Rue, Mitchell Farrell, and Paul Koretz, as well as public health advocates. The LA City Department of Recreation and Parks is considering a new metered parking plan at Griffith Park aimed at improving pedestrian cycling paths, reducing congestion, and improving traffic flow. Officials want to convert some 400 parking spaces near the Griffith Observatory into metered parking. Another 581 spaces at the park would remain free. Proceeds from the parking fees would be used to finance free shuttle service to take visitors to popular destinations around the park, including the observatory and a spot for viewing the Hollywood sign. The Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles, a leading provider of free legal services for low-income residents, recently held a groundbreaking ceremony for its new headquarters, a 4-story building in Pico Union. Officials say the building is 4 years in the making. The total cost is expected to be nearly $18 million, of which $15 million in private funds has been raised so far. Construction is expected to be completed in 2017. A new airline joins the LAX family. Rasha Goel has more on how this new route is the first of its kind.
LAX recently welcomed the first nonstop service between Los Angeles and central China, celebrating Hainan Airlines' first flight from Changsha, the capital of Hunan province.
We have met our strategic objective of getting a direct non-stop service to secondary markets in China. That's very important to us.
The new route establishes Hainan's 6th gateway to the United States.
This is the right year to start this route. President Xi Jinping of China and President Barack Obama of the United States have decreed this the year of tourism, and we expect to have a tremendous amount of people going back and forth, tourists, students, business people, lots of stuff.
Hainan Airlines coming to LAX is a win-win for both China and the U.S. It will strengthen the economy along with tourism. Los Angeles is a huge tourist spot, but Changsha of the Hunan province is also known for world-renowned food and its rich history.
Last year, China surpassed Canada as the city's #2 international market.
779,000 visitors coming to LA.
The total visitation from the United States to China last year reached nearly 2.1 million. And according to U.S. Travel Association, the visitation from China to the United States last year reached 2.5 billion.
Hainan offers the most nonstop Dreamliner routes between China and North America.
We are very quite famous for the in-flight service. We are rated as the best airlines in China for 4 years consecutively by Global Traveler in U.S.
Hainan Airlines is known for its elite customer service, joining with LAX to provide the very best for world travelers. In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The nonstop flight from Los Angeles to Changsha will be around 14 hours. Well, basketball heroes score points with area students during a recent campus cleanup. Gil Reyes has more from Watts.
Let's go, Clippers! Let's go! Let's go, Clippers! Let's go!
A pair of Los Angeles Clippers proved to be champions for children off the court.
Nothing feels better than when you can help another kid out succeed, education-wise.
We got some learning games for y'all.
LA Clippers Paul Pierce and Cole Aldrich take time out of their busy schedules to help renovate 109th Street Elementary School in Watts. This mural painting is part of City Year's Day of Service. City Year provides mentoring to underserved youth nationwide. The group has also partnered with the LA Clippers Foundation to purchase new school supplies and unveil a refurbished computer lab on campus.
I wish I had, this type of computer skills or a computer in my school. First time I ever got on a computer was in college. So, these kids are way ahead of the game.
Paul Pierce had played basketball at nearby Inglewood High School before making it big. He says pro athletes should take more active roles in mentoring or helping to improve the education of tomorrow's leaders. The school receives 31 new computers as part of the Clippers City Year partnership. At City Year's Day of Service in Watts, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
109th Street is one of 5 schools in Watts that the Clippers are sponsoring through City Year. Well, according to the LA County Economic Development Corporation, Los Angeles is now the leading center for technology jobs and growth in the United States. Rich Samuels reports on the rapid growth of one tech industry that's a perfect fit for LA: virtual reality.
VRLA is held twice a year here at the LA Convention Center, and judging by the crowds, this is an industry that's growing by leaps and bounds.
Do you think you want to work in virtual reality one day?
Yes.
What began just a few short years ago as a small meetup among like-minded friends is now the place to go to get in on the action on a technology that promises to revolutionize entertainment, education, and personal expression.
This is Hollywood. This is where we make movies. This is where we're going to make VR. It's the home of content.
Virtual reality is projected to be a $4 billion industry in just a few years. Attendees at the conference aren't just there to explore the technology. They're looking for opportunity.
I'm here because I work in the film industry and am very interested in learning about virtual and augmented reality. It's not very often that an entirely new medium is born, and we're at the early days of that, so I'm trying to soak up as much as I can.
It's a very exciting time. A lot of new things are happening in the game space, of course, but also outside of that.
We put trackers on your head so you have full positional tracking along with the orientation, and most importantly, we give you your hands. These things just mushroom. They grow, and 2-3 years later, here we are in the LA Convention Center with VRLA, and it's pretty exciting.
Here in LA, there's a lot of passion, both on the game side and then from the film industry as well. There's a ton of VFX companies looking at VR.
You can fly with a unicorn, you can race a car, and you can catch bandits.
There's only one place where tech and storytelling expertise converge: Los Angeles. This is Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
Developing LA's tech scene in the city has been one of LA Mayor Eric Garcetti's top priorities. While people living in Glassell Park are enjoying healthier air and more shade, thanks to beautification along a busy corridor. Gil Reyes shows us.
The northeast community of Glassell Park has gotten much greener over the past several months, recently planting its 140th new tree.
We're removing thousands of square feet of concrete just through these cuts to plant the trees. Los Angeles is one of the most concretized cities in the world. So anytime we can remove a little piece of concrete and replace it with a tree or greenery, then that's a step in the right direction.
70 trees planted last summer. The last of an additional 70 were planted this winter. Glassell Park Area Councilman Mitch O'Farrell proud of the sweet shades, eastern red buds, and fern pines now beautifying San Fernando Road near schools and businesses. They're part of the city's Water Relief program, which aims to green main corridors across Los Angeles. In Glassell Park, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Now, those trees are now beautifying a commercial corridor between the 2 freeway and Glendale Avenue. Well, here's your chance to indulge your sweet tooth, get a behind-the-scenes look at making that perfect cup of joe, and marking the Year of the Monkey. All this in this week's Things to Do. Dubbed the West Coast's biggest baking and pastry convention, the second annual LA Cookie Con and Sweet Show is coming to the Los Angeles Convention Center. Due to its popularity, they expanded it to 2 days. That means 2 days of seeing, sampling, and creating delicious treats. The convention will take place on Saturday, February 6th and Sunday, February 7th. Get your taste buds and sweet tooths ready for one sweet event. The convention will have celebrity chefs, special guests, a kids zone, baking workshops, a diverse array of free samples, and a baking contest. For more information, visit lacookiecon.com.
And what goes better with cookies than some smooth and delicious coffee? Why not take a walking coffee tour of downtown LA on Saturday, February 6th from 12 to 2 p.m. Hosted by besttours.com, the tour features visits to some of downtown LA's best coffee spots, with tasting included, barista demonstrations on how to make scrumptious coffee, commentary on coffee's history, and sightseeing opportunities around downtown Los Angeles. For more information, visit besttours.com. Celebrate the Year of the Monkey by visiting the Xuantian Temple in LA's Chinatown. The monkey is 9th of the 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac. Each year is related to an animal sign according to the 12-year cycle. On Sunday, February 7th, from 10 to 12 a.m., celebrate with a midnight temple ceremony. LA's Chinatown community gathers to welcome good health, prosperity, and harmony for the Year of the Monkey. People will gather at the Xuantian Temple to make offerings, set off firecrackers, and burn incense to usher in good fortune for the new year. Participants include lion dancers, Buddhist monks, and many others. This tradition takes place on the eve of Chinese New Year's Day. For more information, visit ChinatownLA.com. And that's a look at some things to do.
And a reminder for those of you who have an overdue City of LA Library book. As we reported earlier in the show, you can return any undamaged book, DVD, or tape to any City of LA library and have all those late fees and past fines waived. And if you have a suspended library card, get that restored too. But you have to act fast. The program is only on from February 1st to the 14th. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
It all started that one day. I knew then my destiny. To have a career where I can achieve my best, where every day is different, where lifelong friendships are made, where I'm saving lives and inspiring others. My name is Mackenzie Vandergeest, and I am a Los Angeles firefighter.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfeld, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Caress, Gregorio, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Price moves, Harris Dawson seconds. Next.
Committed to resolutions for approval.
Mr. Harris Dawson moves, Mr. Price seconds. Next.
Mr. President, there's a request to continue items 1B, S, and V to February 17th and item 1W to March 15th.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Continue.
Items 1 through 7 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that items 1A, D, E, N, P, and T may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid, and item 1I may be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been paid and the late fees rescinded by the inspector. Also, the Office of Finance reports that items 2B and C may be received and filed inasmuch as the payment arrangements have been made by the taxpayers.
Okay, so ordered. Continue.
There are cards on items 1, 2, and 7.
Let's hold those items. Members, let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes. And Mr. President, for the ordinances, those will be held for 1 week unless we consider it with 12 members.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to the next section.
Items 8 through 20 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay, Mr. Koretz.
Yes, I was present at my desk for the last set of items, so I'd appreciate to be reflected and go up on the board.
So if we could have that taken care of. Okay, Mr. Weezer.
Number 8 special, please.
Okay, we'll hold 8. Any other specials? Mr. O'Farrell?
Could you please hold item 9 on the desk?
9 we will hold
Thank
as
you.
well.
Sorry.
And Mr. President, for item number 11, the report has yet to be circulated. Would you like to hold that item on the desk?
Okay, we'll do that. Let's prepare the vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Items 21 through 26 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on items 25 and 26.
Let's hold those items and prepare to vote on the remaining items. Please, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
Members, today we begin the celebration for a very, very important month. It would be Black History Month or African American Heritage Month. I want to just give a shout out to all of the individuals that were engaged in putting this year's program and presentation together. I have to say that Mr. Curran Price, Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson, that it has been a pleasure to work with you on this year's celebration, and I think we send a very strong message to the community that we are united. I want to highlight the mayor and his continued support and participation during this very important time of the year. I want to recognize Mr. Mike Davis from his office and all of the hard work that he's done. In fact, let's give Mike, and if you would please give a round of applause to all of the staff from all of the offices that did so much for today. Give them a round of applause. I want to thank Mr. Joe Buscaino for his contribution. And when I say contribution, I mean that. It was financial. and financial contributions are always appreciated. Again, I would like to invite everyone that's here before the day is out to please take a few moments, go out to the bridge, which is between the controller's office and the mayor's office. We have a display. In fact, this is the 10th year. This year, the display is focused on Motown more than the music, but the people that are behind this effort. And I think you'll find it very, very enjoyable. With that said, it is my honor to present to you an individual that needs no introduction, an individual who honed his skills sitting around this horseshoe and eventually sitting in this chair, the president's chair. From there, he's gone on to become the mayor of the greatest city on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, our mayor, Eric Garcetti.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, council members. It is a joy always to come back home here to the council chambers. And thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership and the collective work of this body in this temple of democracy. It is an honor to come back here to kick off yet again African American Heritage Month. And I also want to thank the people of LA who always not only open up with their ideas and the culture and the politics and the history that we share this month, but also who bring that out to every corner of Los Angeles. This is a celebration not just of or for African Americans. This is for all of Los Angeles to recognize our collective history, the humanity that started in Africa, the civilization that was born in Africa, and this city which was founded by a majority of African Americans. Actually, I guess they were African Spaniards before there were Americans, who came here as pobladores to settle and to make this city. This morning we're presenting a Lifetime Achievement Award to our Authors Study Club, which has been really the lifeblood of this celebration for decades, an incredible group and a longtime partner in the African American Heritage Month. We're also honoring a musician and a philanthropist, also a leader in education, also a brilliant legal mind, and an outstanding elected official. And every single one of them, an Angelino. We see these men and women represent the best of who we are as a city. They are angels here in this city of angels, visionaries who followed their own paths, but were devoted to a common goal. A simple goal to leave this amazing city, this great country, and this nation, and this world better than they found it. And this month we reflect even more deeply on the black thinkers, scientists, writers, artists, and business people who lit our way and who thrived in a world that too often asked them to defy long odds and to face down unfair challenges. We should forever honor and be humbled by their accomplishments. But this month also reminds us that we are called to do more than mark history. We are called to make history, each one of us. So together, let's continue to make history, to set a high bar for justice, for inclusion, for human rights, to make sure that cities around the world look to LA and say, we want to be like them. Let's make history by ensuring that every Angelino is able to earn a good living, raise children in a safe neighborhood with a good school, gain access to every available opportunity, and to live healthy lives. I know this is the work of this council. It is the work of this city government. But more importantly, it is the work of everyone in this city. That's the world we need, the nation we want, the Los Angeles that we will keep fighting for. And living those values is how we truly honor the legacy and the lessons of black history. Thank you. And with that, we'll toss it over to the controller.
Yes, I'd like to present Ron Galperin, our city controller. Give Ron a round of applause.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, council members. What a pleasure and an honor to be here this morning. Last night, we gathered in this very same spot in a council chamber to celebrate the legacy of LA's first African-American mayor, Tom Bradley, on the 99th year since his birth, and for the showing of the movie Tom Bradley, The Politics of Race. Bradley, of course, became the first African-American elected to the council when he broke through and won his seat in 1963. He went on to become mayor and to leave a legacy worthy of emulation and one that we honor today. Now, how did he achieve all of this amidst what was a lot of racism in the city of LA at the time? Well, Mayor Bradley understood and lived the politics of race. He also understood the race that is politics. And as a record-breaking star at UCLA, a track star, captain of his team, in fact, he understood what it was to run a race, and that being in Los Angeles and trying to make progress wasn't just about a sprint, it was a marathon or perhaps a relay race of sorts in which work is done by one and then passed on to another to take it even farther. Lest we forget, by the way, that he lost his first race for mayor, but he ran again, and he won with a message of unity and a message of hope and a message that brought all Angelenos together. So he understood what it took to go the distance, and that there's always another goal in view, and that in many ways, what we do here is a relay race. So generations before us have fought and sacrificed and died for justice and equality, and there's much to be proud of, but there is always, and there is certainly, much to be done. Now, as we celebrate today and all this month the incredible accomplishments of our honorees and the amazing and wonderful culture, spirit, history, contributions of African Americans, and notably African American Angelenos, we still do have a way to travel. And there is much to do before we get to that finish line. But how wonderful it is to be with all of our honorees today. A personal thrill for me to be here when you're honoring Lionel Richie. By the way, a little known fact about him is the lyrics of Everyone You Meet, They're Jamming in the Street All Night Long was really a song about LA traffic. So in recognition of all the great Americans we're celebrating during African American Heritage Month, we give thanks for the legacy passed on to us and for the legacy that is for generations to come and for us to continue to run with. We honor your contributions and the work that we are going to do together. Thank you very much. What an honor and what a pleasure it is to be here.
And we're glad to have you, Mr. Controller. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Our city is so rich with arts and cultural organizations. Arguably, Los Angeles is now the cultural capital of the world, not just because of Hollywood, but we see it all around in murals, we see it in our museums, we see it in the studios that surround us. And actually, if I can ask the Vice Chair of our Cultural Affairs Commission, Charmaine Jefferson, to come up here for these remarks as well. We have talented writers, visual artists, and others who not just inspire the city, but who touch the hearts of the world. And every year, the Department of Cultural Affairs showcases the work of African American writers and visual artists with African American Heritage Month calendar and cultural guide. As always, this publication is filled with thought-provoking words and images and points us to those events and those exhibitions that go on throughout this month and beyond. A full listing of everything taking place across LA during this month. And I want to thank the Department of Cultural Affairs for producing another beautiful book in 2016. I want to also ask Benita Elliott to come forward here. She is this year's artist, and her beautiful piece, Rebirth, is on the cover of the booklet that shows us everything going on in the city of Los Angeles. And so I'm going to ask Benita to join with also our council members to unveil the African American Heritage Month art that graces the cover over here. And Benita, will you just say a thing or two about the image that you created here? Yeah, come on. Right here, come on over.
Just give thanks. That's my first statement. This piece that you're looking at, I want to dedicate to the artists that are living here in the city of Los Angeles. And I will name the artists that I feel energetically and spiritually inspired this piece that I created. There is a dancer by the name of Jeremiah Tatum that I met one time several years ago, but he made an impact on me, and on a farewell program for another dancer here in LA that I happened to photograph years prior, Jeremiah was there. Last year, as I began my day, through my Facebook feed, I started reading a message that was one of those messages written in the third person. And so I knew immediately something had happened to Jeremiah. And of course, the news stunned me. And so in the farewell memorial dance program, this is one of the images. That is a prima ballerina that had come to dance. And it was an incredible evening of dance at Lula Washington Dance Theater or School on Crenshaw. And this woman, Punica Jones, that's her name, who's based in New York City, was there. And we were all sniffling and crying, and the tears are flowing as I was documenting this amazing dancer performing. And so fast forward, I was in a group show at Gallery 50 in Highland Park, and I needed to create a piece. And that morning, it came to me. And so this is the piece that I created, and I call it Rebirth.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We really want to thank today's honorees for all of the phenomenal work that you've done for our community and for this city. And I just have to give a special shout out to our Arthur Study Club, because if it weren't for you, I don't think we would be here. So let's please give them the round of applause that they deserve. I mean, they started this when it was not popular, when the celebration was a day or a week, and I think it's just really appropriate that today that you be recognized for everything that you've done. And that's something that I just wanted to make sure occurred. Give yourselves another round of applause. Well, my friends, the time has come to raise the roof and have some fun. But before we do that, I want to recognize the mayor for a very, very special presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And it is my great pleasure, colleagues and members of the public, to present this month's Living Legend Award to a man that we all know, who has touched our hearts, who has uplifted our souls, who has been a great angel here in this city, the one and the only Lionel Richie. Now, lest you think the controller is the only one with bad humor, let me say this paragraph. Because while many of you may think that it's easy to go dancing on the ceiling all night long, unless you're a brick house or happen to be 3 times a lady, you might just be better off saying hello. And that's what I want us all to do this morning, to say hello to this singer, this songwriter, this musician, this producer and philanthropist, a man who's not only his voice, but the voice of what he's done for justice and for social change has resulted in a better world. He has sold more than 100 million albums and earned 4 Grammy Awards. Not to mention, wait, there's more, an Academy Award and a Golden Globe. So he is a triple threat. He has been able to not only take this music and show it to the world, but he has been able to connect people with each other. And I think in some ways we know folks who become famous for what they do most notably. And we quietly don't know what they're like when the cameras are off or the microphones are turned off. And this is a man who has distinguished himself when no one's around and no one's looking as well. We all know, of course, as a member of the Commodores, as a solo artist, he is the creative force behind some of the most memorable music of our lifetime. But that is why this honor is so well deserved. So, Mr. Ritchie, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, it is truly my honor to present you with the Living Legend Award. Come on forward. Little something for your wall, you know?
I love. Great.
All right, the microphone's yours.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and of course the humor this morning. I must tell you, I love two words. The first word would be living. I like that word.
Yes. Yes.
Living is quite, but the second word is going to be, who knew in my whole life that the power of how far one afro can go? When I went to my mom and dad, and I was an economics major, accounting minor at Tuskegee University, and did I get a shout out back there? Tuskegee, all right.
Tuskegee Airmen.
Tuskegee Air. Wow. Well, I was going to say, raised by the Tuskegee Airmen at Tuskegee, and so there was one great line that was used throughout, which was, failure is not an option.
Yes.
And I didn't have to hide from my mom and dad. I had to hide from the whole town. And I was raised by a fabulous village. And I think that the one thing that I can carry throughout my life is that we have to give back. And in my words, as I travel around the world, I tell kids, gang members, you name it, and I still call them kids. Parenting is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And if you don't have a full set of parents, find someone that you fall in love with, you mirror, and you go forward with that person's mantra, if you will. And what I've done with the Commodores, and I must tell you the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life was I met 5 young men that had the audacity to say to my mom and dad and to the Tuskegee Airmen, we're the Black Beatles, Dad, and we're going to take over the world. And I cannot tell you the words that my father used that afternoon when I told him that. And then, of course, 30 some odd years later, my daughter, Nicole Ritchie, came along and told me that she was going to be a part of a television show. And I asked her the same words, well, tell me what character you're going to play. She said, we're going to play some spoiled rich girls from Beverly Hills, and we're going to spoof the rest of the world. And I used the exact same words my dad used to me, to Nicole Ritchie. And of course, in both cases, I was quite honored to use the words, I told you so. And Nicole came back to me, of course, 2 years later after that and said, Dad, I told you so. So following your kid's desire, following your dream, I am a product of that today, I should say. I'm so busy being a night guy that everything is at night.
Welcome, this is the daytime.
This is the daytime, yes. But I am quite honored because this has been a long journey, and this is not an easy road. The entertainment business is absolutely just, it's a minefield. And even though you may see the glitter and the glamour, it requires a lot of hard work and a lot of perseverance. And so today I'm quite honored to be standing here on the shoulders of giants. This is one of those things where I look back at the Tuskegee Airmen, and I proudly look at Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver and Martin and all the people who passed through Tuskegee. And I think they're looking down on me with great pride, knowing that one of their favorite sons did it.
Yes.
So thank you very much, everybody. I totally appreciate this.
Beautiful work. It's all yours, man.
Come on, we can do a little bit better than that. Thank you. We can do better than that. And ladies and gentlemen, as you go onto the bridge looking at the Motown display, there is a panel there that will give you some of Mr. Ritchie's accomplishments. I'm honored to present to you today recording artist Eric Benet is in the house. Give him a round of applause. And the beautiful Shantae Moore, recording artist. I would now like to call to the mic the great representative from the 9th District to introduce our next honorees, and that would be Mr. Curran Price. Give Mr. Price a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an exciting day for us. I mentioned that earlier this morning. All of our honorees have certainly distinguished themselves, and it's just very exciting. But I just want to take a minute of personal privilege and acknowledge how proud we are, Mr. President, of you in your role in history. Let's give it up for our president. We're proud of your achievements. And I'm proud to live in a city where your leadership can help improve the quality of life for so many Angelenos. Again, congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Anything you want today is a high vote.
Well, our next recipient is for the Outstanding Achievement in Education, and it's Dr. Willie Hagan, president of the Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. Dr. Hagan became president in 2013. During his tenure, he has successfully raised the bar for achieving academic excellence. By reinvigorating efforts to fulfill Dominguez Hills' mission to increase access to education and academic access, he has furthered the goal to become one of the nation's leading urban universities, preeminent in teaching, student engagement, and student success. I present to you our honoree for Outstanding Achievement in Education, Dr. Willie Hagan.
Well, I just came because they told me Lionel Richie was going to be here. But in all seriousness, I want to thank everyone behind nominating me for this award. This is the kind of award that you did not receive because of your actions alone. To receive an award recognizing achievement for being president of a university really requires three things: a dedicated faculty and staff. We have one of the best in the state of California, I say in the country. A group of supporters in our city and around California, and a hard-working group of students who want to transform their lives. And I think the fourth thing that you need to be successful is a very clear mission that you're dedicated to accomplishing. And many of you heard this before. Cal State Dominguez Hills was started in Palos Verdes, California in 1960, one of the 100 richest communities in the country. And after the riots in 1965, the governor and the board of trustees relocated the campus from Palos Verdes to Carson to help service those areas that were deemed to be cities in crisis and turmoil. And we're very proud of the fact that they saw us as being part of the process of transforming that community. And we've done that. 95,000 alums later, almost a $350 million economic impact on the area, and a number of leaders, not only throughout the country, but in this room. A lot of our alums are here. And I think that that's what's important about our university. We were told to make a difference, and we think we have done that. And I only have a couple of minutes, and so I'll just say this. I mean, as a president of a university, you are programmed to to brag about your campus. And I know there are a lot of great folks lined up to come up and talk, so I will only mention a couple of things and relate to some of the comments that were made here earlier. An organization called Educate to Career ranks Dominguez Hills in the top 10 in the nation for job opportunities for its graduates. And from that standpoint, we're accomplishing our mission. Even more importantly, the Washington Monthly ranks colleges on what they term contributions to the public good. And you just think of that even as an award category, contributions to the public good. For 3 years in a row, Cal State Dominguez Hills has been ranked among the top 10 institutions in the nation for contribution to the public good. And that relates to giving low-income and minority students an opportunity to have access and to graduate from an institution of higher education, to provide cutting-edge research, and also to provide service to the community. And we just last year won President Obama's National Award for Community Engagement. Thank you. And that award is important because it said you embraced the mission that was given to you and you've done well in that mission. And as I said earlier, this is not an accomplishment that represents my work alone. It represents the work of a lot of outstanding folks, and I would not be here. And I also want to basically mention the CSU system as a whole. We are one of 23 institutions, all charged to help elevate California's citizenry. We believe we are a significant part of the economic engine of this state. So with that, again, thank you for this award. I'm humbled and I'm pleased. Thank you very much.
Start on the side, yeah. Dr. Willie Hagan. And now our recipient for Outstanding Achievement in Law. We are pleased to honor the Honorable Audrey Collins, Associate Justice, California Court of Appeals.
Your Honor, you're up.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Let's give her another round of applause.
Judge Collins was appointed by Governor Brown to the bench, to the California Court of Appeals in 2014. Raised in a family that was particularly dedicated to public service, she's received many accolades from a cross-section of civic and faith-based organizations for her achievements. In 1978, while working at the LA District Attorney's Office, Justice Collins was the first African-American woman to become a head deputy, assistant bureau director, and assistant district attorney in that office. She was elected president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys in 1984. She is a real pioneer, a real role model, and our honoree, the Honorable Audrey Collins.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mayor Eric Garcetti, the members of the R. Arthur's Club, and everyone else responsible, including the City Council, for including me in such distinguished company this year. If my career in law has been unusual, it's partly because of the number of positions I've held, and for those opportunities, I have a lot of other people to thank, from District Attorneys John Vandekamp and Assistant DA Johnny Cochran. Yes, he was in the DA's office, and later District Attorney Gil Garcetti, all of whom recognized the need for diversity in the DA's office. To President Bill Clinton, who selected me as his first appointee to the federal district court here in Los Angeles, and of course Governor Jerry Brown, who appointed me. Governor Brown appointed me to the California Court of Appeal, and I want to say that was due in large part to the efforts of our local African American bar associations, including California Association of Black Lawyers, the Langston Bar Association, and Black Women Lawyers of Los Angeles. I'd like to thank all of them. Of course, my family, including my husband, Tim, who's here today, and my children have always supported me, which has propelled me forward. But my debt to my family stretches back far beyond this generation, and I couldn't accept this award during African American Heritage Month without acknowledging my ancestors whose sacrifices brought me to this point. My paternal grandfather, Furman Lawrence Brody, was born a slave in South Carolina in 1856 and didn't learn to read until, encouraged by missionaries, he traveled to a school in Illinois in his late teens. After becoming a teacher, he married my grandmother, Annie. They had 11 children, one of whom was my father, Furman Jr. My father worked to put himself through historically black colleges, including Meharry Dental School. He chose not to marry until he was financially stable. So at 50 years old, he met and married my mother, then a 29-year-old school teacher at Booker T. Washington in Norfolk, Virginia. My parents instilled, if not drilled, the importance of education and family into me and my brothers, one of whom is here today, Bruce Brody, the Chief Deputy of the LA County Alternate Public Defender. I know my grandparents and parents on both sides of my family are especially proud today. Thank you.
Thank you again. Justice Audrey Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Price. And before I bring up Marquise Harris Dawson, I think it's important, especially given the display that we have on Motown, to recognize that we have the former vice president of Motown, Irish Gordy, with us today. Give Iris a round of applause. She did a lot of projects with Smokey Robinson, DeBarge, Diana Ross, Four Tops, Temptations, and also with us we have her daughter, Carla, it's my understanding. Please rise. Carla Gordy Bristol. I'd like to bring to the mic the representative from the great 8th District, Marquise Harris Dawson. Let's
Thank
give
you so much,
Marquise
Mr. President. And thank you to the mayor, our citywide elected officials, our controller, Ron Galprin, and Councilmember Price. Today is a remarkable day in the city of Los Angeles as we kick off the African American Heritage Month, standing side by side with all of our colleagues and all of the Los Angeles city family. It's good to live in a city where we all have each other's back. And the celebration of African American contribution isn't only on African American members, but it's something that we all share together. I think Los Angeles deserves a big round of applause. I'm happy to introduce our next honoree, the recipient of the Hall of Fame Award, Outstanding Achievement in Government, the chairman of the California Board of Equalization, the Honorable Jerome Horton. With over 27 years of Board of Equalization experience in tax administration, property taxes, and tax policy, Horton is the first African American and perhaps the most experienced and qualified person ever to serve on the board since its inception in 1879. Nationally recognized for his free income tax preparation and family resource fair and business resource seminars, Horton has helped working families capture millions in tax refunds and credits and provided tools for women to break through the glass ceiling in business. Please help me give a Los Angeles welcome to the Honorable Jerome Horton.
want to start out by thanking Mr. Mayor and the R. Authors Study Club for this distinguished honor. It is indeed a pleasure to be in the presence of so many outstanding individuals, but I want to send a shout out to your president, Herb Wesson, who has been a guiding light for me in a number of ways, as well as thank the entire City Council for all their work.
Thank you.
It's kind of interesting, as an alumni of Cal State Dominguez, I had to tell the judge that I was innocent, and then I had to share with Lionel that I lost his album and to see if he can send me another copy. So, for a number of reasons, I'm really happy to be here. But as the first African American to serve on the Board of Equalization since its inception, I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the courage, conviction, as well as the sacrifice of so many individuals who have come before me. It is because of them and the grace of God that I stand here today. When joining the Board of Equalization, I took a different look at it. I saw it as a powerful force to take on human trafficking, and we were able to participate in the arrest and the conviction of a number of folks that are committing that heinous crime here in our society. With over 235,000 employees at the state level, lawyers, doctors, and so forth, we saw it as an opportunity to begin to promote women and minorities and created a pathway for them to transition from the colleges on the east side to be able to take employment on the west side. And so you see, members, we have an opportunity to make a difference as individuals. But I am also conscious that at a time in our nation's history when black actors continue to fight for just attention, just a little bit of attention and respect for the work that they do. When the children in Flint, Michigan, where my dad lives, continue to fight for just fresh water, something that we take for granted. When the mothers of young men go to sleep and they pray that they wake up not to find their son killed on the side of a road, I realize that the fight continues. And just below the surface of our reality, there are terrorists who would take advantage of the wedges that divide us. And so it's incumbent upon us to stay united, as this council has been, as the mayor has been, and as your honorees has continued to provide that unity in their area of expertise. The one thing I've also realized over a period of time is that the old Negro anthem that says, "We shall overcome," I've come to realize that someday is not on the calendar, and that we must begin today and every day to do the best that we can to make a difference in our society. That's why my wife, Yvonne, and I, we wake up every morning trying to figure out how we can improve the quality of life in our society. We have begun to call ourselves nobodies trying to help somebody as often as we can. It is also why I am so honored to receive this award for the work that we do. As all of you elected leaders and leaders who go out and sacrifice your families and so forth, you know the value when someone simply says, thank you. So to the mayor and to the Authors Club and to all of you who are here today, thank you so very much for this honor.
Thank you, Jerome. Jerome Horton, ladies and gentlemen.
I need some affirmative action. The Honorable Jerome Horton, everybody. Last but certainly not least, our grand finale of honorees today. We have the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award, Ernestine Gordon. While the Association for the Study of African American Life and History is headquartered at Howard University, we have our own chapter here in Los Angeles. Our Authors Study Club began citywide celebrations of what was then Negro History Week in 1947. And in 1950, our city's mayor, Boren, issued the first proclamation acknowledging our Authors Study Club. The OASC offers reading programs for elementary school students, scholarships for deserving students seeking a bachelor's degree, and fellowships for PhD candidates researching African American history, literature, or culture. Please join me in honoring our Authors Study Club. Come on up.
Wow, I'm overwhelmed, actually, because we are celebrating 70 years. We're moving into our 71st year. And I'm just moved because of the history and that I'm heard in the comptroller and in our mayor about what has gone on before, their knowledge and understanding of it. And one of the things I want to say is that is our mission as a local branch of our National Association, and that is to research, study, and to disseminate information about our black forefathers and mothers, even those that we know their names and those that we don't. So I'm really very happy to our organization to be honored, because 70 years, you know, it takes a lot of barriers to overcome. So we're really happy, and we didn't do it by ourselves. I am so proud that Mayor Garcetti and the council has always worked with us in the celebration of African American history. So it's a joint effort, and it's very much appreciated. I want to share with you just briefly that Carter G. Woodson, I don't know if you know who Carter G. Woodson is, but in 1915, because we were not able to get blacks were not able to get information published, and he wanted our history to continue, him and his contemporaries started the National Negro Life and History Organization that celebrated its 100 years last year. So we are here because a man stepped out back in 1915 with his contemporaries, and whatever barriers were there, as you can see, it continues to happen, started an organization in which now we have black authors, we have associations, and we have a history and writers and books. And so it is to his credit that we stand here today celebrating our black history. So I want to thank the mayor, and I want to thank the President Weston for being with us, staying with us, honoring us. And it's just, I'm just really overwhelmed by the knowledge and continue to share information and disseminate black history. So thank you so very much for this opportunity.
We do have a couple speakers on the queue as well. Mr. Kretz?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to recognize all of our honorees for their amazing contributions to black history, American history, and our culture. But I particularly want to take a moment for a point of personal privilege to recognize my longtime friend Jerome Horton, who was a treasured colleague of mine in the State Assembly. He was a council member in Inglewood, and now, as was said, not only the most experienced, but best and most capable member of the Board of Equalization ever to be elected, as well as an African American, the first African American. He's done an amazing job in that capacity. He's used his incredible knowledge to help people understand otherwise mystifying and intimidating tax codes. He's fought for working families. He's fought for the few percent that, or I should say, the overwhelming percent of people that usually are disadvantaged in the process, and tried to even the playing field. And he's just been a great friend as well. We met each other before we were in the Assembly, but our first year, our offices were located across the hall from each other. Our families were the ones that came up the most, I think, in the legislature. Our wives became good friends. Our kids played with each other. And your family is my family. And so I want to recognize you for your great career and your great friendship as well.
And before I call on Mr. Buscaino, is Tracy still here? Tracy Underwood. Tracy, please stand up. One of our sponsors from Toyota. We could not do this if we didn't have supporters like you. Tracy Underwood. With that said, Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership, Mr. Price and Marquise Harris Dawson. These are true African-American leaders here in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm so blessed, and we're so blessed to stand alongside and lead this great city. Last year in my district in Watts, we celebrated the strength and the resiliency of the Watts community during the 50-year anniversary of the Watts Rebellion. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, we opened one of the hottest restaurants in the city of Los Angeles, local, today, that sits on the corner of 103rd and Anzac. And while these types of restaurants pop up all over the city of L.A., for us it's special in Watts. And it shouldn't be, but it is. That we should welcome all variety of businesses to open in our South Los Angeles communities, and we're proud of that. We continue to strive for a better future for our communities in the face of adversity, but we can't discount the inequality that continues to exist today. I want to recognize our honorees today. That continues to remind us that everyone has a role. Everyone has a role of continuing to break down the barriers that keep the status quo in place. And I look at this year's African American Heritage Month piece that we just unveiled, and I look at this artist by the name of Mrs. Jones, and I see an amazing piece of work. And I see in this photo that the first African-American female principal dancer of the American Ballet Theater, Misty Copeland, came out of the San Pedro Ballet School. And just recently we recognized Misty and named a square after her, the corner of 13th and Pacific. I look at Dr. Hagen. I'm one of those proud alums that he referenced to. Cal State Dominguez Hills, who has been such a great partner in my district. In Watts, in the summer of last year, we worked with the university on the beautification project of the Bradley Milken Center and Fire Station 65. Dr. Hagen and I really proud to welcome a number of volunteers from the university. They completed a lawn makeover, and with the Dominguez Hills Center for Service Learning, Internships and Community Engaged, which is called SLICE. We also recently started a collaboration between ShareFest, Dominguez Hills, and my office to complete the lawn beautification at Fire Station 65. We know that Dominguez Hills continues to welcome ShareFest each and every summer with their Summer Youth Development Academy on campus that invites dozens of youth from my district that welcomes them. They engage in academic and leadership opportunities. The ITEP conference was held. The International Trade and Education Program was held at your university, Dr. Hagen. We thank you for opening your campus to all parts of the city. And thank you for giving me the honor to address the graduating class and the commencement last May. I really appreciate you and your leadership. And Mr. Horton, congratulations on your award as well. Thank you for your leadership. I know that plane will be landing soon, but I know you'll be taking off somewhere else. So appreciate your leadership as well. And to Lionel Richie, who slipped out of the room, Lionel, just know that you are my go-to songs when I sing to my karaoke. And my partner, Mr. Koretz, we can maybe do something in honor of Lionel Richie, but we'll save it for later. So congratulations to our honorees. Thank you, Mr. President. God bless you, and God bless the entire African-American community.
Again, I want to acknowledge all of the honorees. Congratulations, Jerome Horton, my dear friend, and we served together. To all of you, Your Honor, Mr. President, I do have a staff member who's a graduate from your university as well. To our Arthur Study Club, you started all of this. We really appreciate it. To Irish Gordy, thank you for adjusting your calendar to be with us today. Responsible for launching Rick James's career, to Tina Marie's career. Anyway, please, before you leave, go see the bridge. There's a great display. That concludes today's presentation. One more round of applause. Thank you all so very much for coming. Thank you. Also, where's Fram and Julie? Raise your hand. Fram and Julie, give them a round of applause. They're the mother and father-in-law of my communications director, Vanessa. So thank you for joining us today. She's been a great asset. I keep an eye on her. Keep her on a short leash. But she's great. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, why don't we, sorry, Vince, of all days, we're going to take up item 8 now. Come on forward.
Are you? Morning. You look like it from here, though. Hey, how are you? Mitch always looks like he's 6'2" because he's always standing above me. Every time I see him, he's standing like about on a podium that makes him look 6'2". Yes. Isn't it? Yes.
Okay, you know, before we start, Mr. Weezar, I have a card from Mr. Previn. Why don't we take the card? Mr. Previn, please come forward. I was afraid you were going to break out into song, Mr. Buscaina. Mr. Previn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Previn.
I appreciate that, sir. Today is item 8 is a communication from the mayor and the EERC, which is the employment group, who have it's relative to the appointment of Mr. Vince Bertoni, who will be the new director of planning for the city of Los Angeles, and he's replacing Mr. Logrand, who Mr. Weezar honored last week or so, and it's a big job. And so we appreciate his coming on board. I think he worked in Pasadena. I think he's got some experience with the city of Los Angeles. He has now, as of February 1, done the various disclosures that the Ethics Commission requires, and he's clean and ready to start. So that's exciting. There are some things that he could work on from the perspective of the public, and I just wanted to outline one or two. In general, I think that Director of Planning has a lot to say about the projects around the city that are greenlit and move forward. They talk amongst one another, and there's a lot of group with a big staff, and they've been doing, as Mr. Huizar outlined last week, a lot of really good work. The piece from the local residents in the communities about outreach is important, and the way it's set up now is everything gets aimed at Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, which is done. They're the people who run the 95 neighborhood councils that you and Krikorian have given $50,000 each for the next year going forward to run nice little land use groups that help bring out the message. The problem is there's no standard outreach protocol, and so it's left up to those individual groups. This can result in a lot of outreach, or it can result in a, more quiet rollout that can be perceived as sometimes something less than fully, sufficient. So that was the case with item 65 on December 16th, 2015, and I would ask that the City Council bring it back to the Council to be heard properly from the residents of that community, because it was only heard in the Little Planning Committee. And thank you for your time.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And first off, I'd want to congratulate all the organizers for the African American Heritage Month, great celebration that we have here in the city of LA. And today we have another great item on today's agenda, and that is to confirm a nomination made by our mayor of Mr. Vince Bertoni as the new director of the Department of City Planning. This is a very important position for the city that will have impacts not only for now, but for our future. And first off, I'd like to say welcome back, Mr. Bertoni. You were here before. You know the city well, you know the department well, you know the issues, you know how to work with the council and the mayor and all the different departments in the city. So we had a great discussion yesterday in our planning committee. We are very pleased to see your nomination as someone who is experienced in the area of planning and land use. We discussed the need to not only move our cases through, but also to focus on policy and look for ways to build the foundation of our planning for the city for the future in terms of updating our community plans, looking at our general plan, and continuing the momentum we have with the recent updates on our mobility plan, our housing plan, and our first ever health element. So we're very pleased to have you. I think this is a great addition for us to move forward. And we have concerns throughout the city, communities who have raised the issue of overdevelopment. We have concerns about certainty when people are proposing a project, whether, what are the different avenues a project can take, and not sure if the investment is worthwhile because we're not quite sure what the outcome will be. And so all these issues before us. We're very pleased that we're going to have an experienced individual in this seat. I want to commend an issue raised by my colleague on the committee yesterday, Councilmember Harris Dawson, who raised the issue of diversity. That is something that our council takes very seriously, not only in this department, but every department as we move forward and make sure that our departments in the city and its thinking, its life experiences are reflected in terms of what this city is made up of. So thank you so much. Colleagues, I urge and I vote. I think this is the right appointment for the right time for the city of Los Angeles as we continue to re-identify ourselves and look for a new vision for the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Harris Dawson.
We heard from Mr. Bertoni yesterday.
We're having a sound issue.
Ready? We had the privilege of hearing from you in Planning Committee yesterday. I wanted to ask you to talk to the broader audience about the issue of diversity, especially in the leadership of the Planning Department. It's very, very important to all of us on this council, but I also think to everyday people in the city that when they look and see who's doing the planning, who's making decisions, that they see someone who they feel can identify with their circumstance and the landscape that they live on. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could talk some this morning about how you plan to pursue that at the leadership level of the Planning Department.
Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Vince, welcome and congratulations. We're very excited to have you here representing the city of Los Angeles, not only because you're a resident of Council District 4, but your experience and ability to engage with diverse communities are especially important. Your success in Pasadena in revitalizing that city, and your background in creating the historic preservation overlay zones in Los Angeles, some of those that are in my district, are a strong indication that you have the skills that we need. There's a strong call for reform from the residents of the city of Los Angeles. And much could be solved if we updated the rules, the community plans, and most importantly, make sure that everyone abides by them. The people of Los Angeles see City Hall as a revolving door for developers that ask for and receive exemptions for their projects. However, this perception is not necessarily fair or the truth. Most of the variances and zone changes we approve are because many of the community plans are 20 years, if not older, and vastly out of date. When these plans don't match the neighborhoods and the residents they were originally designed for, it's unsurprising that we often plan on an ad hoc basis. As the new director of planning, it'll be your job, with our help, to make sure these updates become a reality. There are also many concerns that we're only building housing for the rich. We need more affordable housing, no doubt. Let's look to the ratios in our menu of incentives for the state's density bonus law to increase the level of affordable housing required to receive those bonuses. Let's look at some of the many tools that my colleagues from Gil, Mitch, Mike Bonin, Jose Huizar, and Paul Krikorian have discussed. We also need to restore trust in the city's planning process. You and I discussed that in my office. And, you know, we talked about that we need to leave behind the old way of public engagement, where we get the same people in the room together to regurgitate the same concerns and then repeating this process over and over again without explaining or building consensus. These are a few areas of reform that we need to work on, and I want to support you and the planning department so we can work to build a greater city that engenders the trust of its people and creates a fair environment for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rue. With that said, Mr. Huizar, Mr. Harris Dawson, why don't we call for the vote? Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Vince, congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Welcome home.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, for the record, for item 8, the annual salary for the Director of Planning will be $225,002.88.
Thank you. We're going to go to item 25. Mr. Sachs. Mr. Sachs, are you here? Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. The issue here is number 25. This concerns street lighting. As you know, street lighting has improved incredibly since I moved here in 1966. And street lighting used to go out about every week, and it would take you 3 or 4 days. Now that we have the new type of street lighting, we haven't had a light go on. I'm near Capitol Records. We haven't had a light go on the blink in 4 or 5 years. Again, when you do a good job, I am the first to congratulate you. I'm not going to say all a bunch of questions. No. When you do a good job, I am the first to congratulate you, and the street lighting has improved incredibly. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let's prepare members to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We'll now move to item 11. It's my understanding the committee report has been circulated. So, Madam Clerk, on item 11, if you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Move to item 26. Mr. John Walsh, item 26.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Again, REAP, Rent Escrow Account Program. Landlords better realize if you do not keep your apartments up to, your units up to a code, you're going to get fined. And these are a list of fines. This, again, another excellent job by the city when it comes to, and you have to have proof of compliance, number 26. And this removes various properties from REAP because the landlord has now complied and fixed whatever was wrong, whatever the code violation was in the unit. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Now we'll move on to item 7. Mr. Walsh, item 7.
John Walsh tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Again, this is street lighting districts. This one happens to be on National Boulevard in Castle Heights. Again, crime is really sliced and diced by lighting because criminals go where it's dark, okay? That's where they go. And with these lights, the hearings and protests have been completed. And for number 7, 100%, you're doing a good job.
Okay, Mr. Sachs, are you here, Mr. Sachs? Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. Walsh, we're on item 2. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential. Item 2 is another item where you're doing a good job. This is Office of Finance reports regarding approval of. This is another issue of recording liens, and if any of these miscreant landlords. If you don't, everybody knows, you can get away with hell in Glendale or Pasadena. Here, we have the landlords on a leash. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, Mr. Sachs. Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. Previn, item 1. Mr. Previn, item 1. And Mr. Walsh, item 1, please come forward. Mr. Walsh passes. Mr. Previn, Mr. Sachs.
Good morning, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn on item 14 today, which is the ACE program, the Administrative Citation Enforcement Program. We're approving here a little look-see at how that program has been going. Now, unfortunately, sir, this is a program that is intended to provide tickets to ordinary residents. We have a contract with a firm that is not Xerox Solutions, and I believe we're going to be looking forward to tuning up that contract fairly soon. Now,
is
it's
he talking
important
about
to
item
understand
1?
going out and writing tickets to folks for various activities like being in a park or when you're not supposed to, or having your dog off of the leash, is stuff that we should not be focusing on. And the city attorney has been warned by various groups that to go after this population, which can sometimes be described as a homeless population, sometimes it's just ordinary residents, but the deployment of this kind of a program, sir, of an administrative citation enforcement program, rolling out a new program like that with guys and their new little clickers makes the public feel like, what are we focusing on, sir? How is this the appropriate thing to be doing? It just, to me, it seems like we could find a way to do something different. So thank you.
Okay, again, Mr. Sachs. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Yes.
There is a request to continue items 1H and X to February 17th.
Without objection.
And 1G.
Any other before?
Item 1G to February 17th.
Anything else? All right, then without objection, that'll be the order. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that brings us to item 9. Stephen Weaver, Alfredo Hernandez, Michael Gonzalez. Mr. City Attorney, did you want to make an announcement?
Yes, Mr. President. Just to remind Council that this is a fair hearing matter requiring Council's attention to the speaker at the podium or to their monitors at their desks.
Sir?
And also, Mr. President, amending motion 9A has been circulated.
Okay.
Thank you to the Council for its time. We're here on behalf of Sunset Landmark Investment to voice our opposition to this project. I'm sorry?
I'm listening.
Okay. So we have a lot of points of opposition, but the main reason we have is that this is another Hollywood hotel project in a place that is frankly being overdeveloped, overbuilt way too quickly without regard to the environmental laws and a proper review process. To allow this hotel to shortchange environmental review and to ignore the cumulative impacts of a number of hotels being built in the area does a tremendous disservice to the community and the businesses there. Just today at noon, there's going to be a report on KCRW about how many hotels are coming up in this area. So it's very much on the conscience of the city. We don't want to end up in a situation like Porter Ranch, where years later we've skipped all our homework, we haven't followed CEQA, we haven't done the necessary reviews, and we find ourselves with this process. So where we find ourselves today is this disregard for the environmental laws, the process, the LA Municipal Code, not requiring this report. It's going to engender litigation, and we will file litigation if necessary.
Thank you. So next, if you'd please come forward, sir, and identify yourself.
Hello, council members. I'm Alfredo Hernandez, founding board member of the Hollywood Network Coalition, a broad-based coalition of Hollywood residents, businesses, educational institutions, and nonprofit organizations. Views in support and against this project were vetted during a lengthy Q&A session of the Urban Policy Committee, which I chair. The committee determined it would support the project. Our full board also voted to support the project with a rooftop similar to Soho House, with no live music and no dancing. This rooftop is vital to this project in a climate like Los Angeles. We believe this is a sound project that continues to the revitalization of Hollywood, that provides 30% local hire and tourism jobs. We urge you to deny these appeals and support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I could have next, is that Mr. Gonzalez? Please, sir. And after you, I have a Gil Smith and a Garen Bostonian, or I'll let you pronounce it. Yes, sir.
Good morning, honorable council members. Thank you, Michael Gonzalez, representing the applicant. This is a fantastic hotel that enjoys broad support throughout the Hollywood community. We have unanimous support from the City Planning Commission. We have a fantastic design by renowned Hollywood architects Roshan Van Cleve. The project is phenomenal. 218 direct jobs, 386 direct operational jobs, 218 direct construction jobs, and numerous indirect and induced jobs that will be created in the Hollywood community at a time when we need continued growth. The procedures that we are using are appropriate and proper. The mitigated negative declaration analyzes every potential impacts and mitigates every impact to less than significant, and therefore it's an appropriate environmental clearance document, contrary to what our opponents are saying. Our opponents are also property owners in the area that may not agree with how we're approaching Hollywood, but they nevertheless do own land in a pretty substantial sized building very close to us. This council has the authority to approve the zone and height district change. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker, please. Is it Bostanian?
Good afternoon or good day, council members. I'm Gilbert Smith, and I'm chair of the Ricardo Montalban Theater and Foundation on Vine Street. This project that is being helmed by Grant King and his partners is a terrific project. I have a particular need because I am one of the business owners that's trying to bring entertainment back to Los Angeles and to Hollywood primary. The other businesses that are going to benefit by people being able to stay in Central Hollywood are CNN, the Cahuenga Sunset Boulevard restaurants, entertainment businesses, LA Film School, Kilroy Media Tower, the Icon, and Pantages Theater, and yes, the Montalban Theater. We have actors, we have people who have to stay in the central part of Hollywood, so it's a walking community again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Garen Bostanian. I'm here with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to express the Chamber's support of the proposed hotel project at 1541 Wilcox in Hollywood. The Chamber believes this project will help to revitalize this area of Wilcox and bring much-needed hotel rooms to one of the most visited parts of Los Angeles. We're particularly pleased with the project's pedestrian-friendly design elements. This project is also well served by transit, which increases its accessibility to residents and tourists alike. Additionally, we believe the restaurant space will be a welcome addition to the neighborhood and utilized by both visitors and community residents. As you know, Hollywood is undergoing an amazing renaissance. As Hollywood continues to grow at an unprecedented rate, the need for hotel rooms will also increase. For the past several years, the Chamber has worked to attract new hotels to Hollywood, such as Mama Shelter and Dream Hotel, which, when coupled with this hotel, will completely transform this neighborhood. Our board is very excited about the 1541 Wilcox project and the much-needed services that hotel will provide.
Thank you. Ruth Sarnoff and Arnold Sachs. Ms. Sarnoff, please come forward.
I want to remind the committee, the council today, as well as the public, that all of the business of the city council, most of it takes place in committees and commissions, not in open discussion here in the council chamber. This body votes together 99.6% or something like that of the time, lockstep. It means that decisions are made before you get here, not here. And we also don't have people that are able to track you through the multitude of committees, etc. I think that we're turning the Hollywood area into another downtown LA, and we've got other places in surrounding cities in Orange County and in the whole southern part of the state that are encouraging tourism at a rate that's going to backfire.
Thank you, Ms. Sarnoff. Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And that item is adopted as amended.
Okay, that brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
Okay, is Michael carry on? Arnold Sachs? Mr. Walsh? Oscar Muhammad? Ruth Sarnoff, please come forward. Go ahead, Oscar. Mr. Muhammad.
My name is Oscar Muhammad. I speak for the poor, I speak for the oppressed, I speak for the poor, and I speak for cultural change. The late Imam Wajdi Muhammad, the leader of the largest community of African-American Muslim in North America in the Islamic faith. He introduced Black History, told his followers to recognize Black History Month and the founder of Black History Month, historian Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And we had 24 books in a box, and we circulated over hundreds of thousands of Carter G. Woodson Black History Month books back in the 80s. Early life of Carter G. Woodson. Carter G. Woodson was born in December 19, 1875 in New Canaan, Virginia, to Liz Woodson and Jane Woodson, the fourth of 7 children. Young Woodson worked as a sharecropper and a miner to help his family. He began high school in the late teens and proved to be an excellent student, completing a 4-year course and studied less than 2 years. After attending Brick College in Kentucky, Woodson worked for the United States government in education.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your time's up, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Walsh? Mr. Walsh, please come forward. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh. There'll be an anti-skyscraper initiative on the November ballot, so we'll take care of what's happening here. Or anybody but Englander for supervisor. Anybody but Englander for supervisor. But the most important thing is we have arson attacks on schools on the east side. We had an arson attack just the other day with trash barrels set on fire at Roosevelt High, where I have taught previously as a substitute teacher. It's out of control. We don't know who does it, and you don't give a syphilitic rat's ass, because it's not west of La Brea, and the children being burned are minorities, not Jewish children. I'm telling you, if this attack had happened in West L.A., you'd be going crazy, especially you phony blacks and Hispanics who are controlled by the West Side Jews. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, Ms. Sarnoff, Mr. Previn, please, Ruth Sarnoff, please come forward. Mr. Previn, you'll be after her. Yes.
Ruth Sarnoff. I hope you will all look at the Downtown News, pages 6 and 7, to the article, Problems and Potential in the Industrial District, and also on page 7, the continuation of that article, and another article says, Move Underway to Create Skid Row Neighborhood Council. I think what we are seeing is the tale of two cities being played out. And the thing about the Downtown News, ever since they put that 90 projects going on up with 29 skyscrapers downtown and about 38 more other big buildings under 20 stories, and now here we are looking at more people being put into homelessness, 13,000 a month falling into homelessness in our county.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Previn, thank you. Thank you. Sergeants, could you take the documents from Ms. Sarnoff, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn from CD2, and that was a very lovely celebration today. I follow closely and think you're doing a great job on African American Month. This has been a very nice celebration. I'm a huge fan of Mr. Ritchie as well. And I am not a big fan of the way the meeting is run sometimes, as we've heard. And one small issue that has come up is if a council member, for example, during a fair public hearing wants to speak to a group of lobbyists, even though he's been cautioned by the city attorney to stay seated or watch his monitor, it's no problem for me because they are always so busy, fluid, and everything, although it's against the law. But what they should not do is park their meeting right in front of the spectators and audience members here in the public, because we are individuals with self-respect as well. And so when it's brought to the attention in a polite way to the council member, please just adjust it to the right or the left, and they don't do anything but ignore the public who made that request, it results in my request for Mr. Ado for protection, because I am not going to be intimidated by a council member. Okay? So thank you for your interest.
Thank you. Thank you. That concludes general public comment. That brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They're posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Okay, announcements. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow, the entire city of Los Angeles is welcome to attend the LA Crime Forum, to be held tomorrow night, 6 p.m. at the Warner Grand Theater in downtown San Pedro. Chief Beck, Commission President Matt Johnson, And Operations South Bureau Assistant Commanding Officer Phil Tingrides will give us the opportunity to listen to police department strategies and address some of the ongoing crime concerns that we have across the city of Los Angeles. Again, tomorrow, Warner Grand. Colleagues, you all got an invite. Everyone's welcome. 6 p.m. at the Warner Grand, the LA Crime Forum. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Could everyone please rise for adjourning motions? Could all rise in the chambers for adjourning motions? I'm going to first look to Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. We lost a great man and a tremendous civic and community leader last week when a wonderful gentleman named Alan Fine passed away. And for this memorialization of Alan, we're joined by his son Howard and daughter Hillary. Just days before Alan's passing, I was privileged to join the Benedict Canyon Association in honoring Alan, who was too ill to attend, but we heard was much moved by the BCA's thank you salute in recognition of his public service. For more than 45 years, Alan Fine was a stalwart member of the community of his adopted home in Benedict Canyon, serving both the Benedict Canyon Association and more recently the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council. Shortly after moving to Benedict Canyon in the late 1960s with his wife Barbara and their then infant son Howard, he joined the Benedict Canyon Association, also known as the BCA, and used his expertise as an accountant in volunteering his service as treasurer. For the next 45 years, through the birth of his daughter Hillary and through numerous comings and goings at the BCA, Alan was there, making sure membership dues were processed, funds were raised, and hundreds of meetings were attended. Alan was there through many battles that the association fought over development projects and city policies, and through it all, the association could count on him to make the funds available. He showed up at almost every fundraiser collecting the dues. In the early 2000s, after the tragic early passing of his wife Barbara, Alan broadened his service to the community by accepting the appointment as the first treasurer of the newly formed Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council. His long years of service at the BCA made him the obvious choice. For the next 13 years as treasurer, he attended numerous city meetings and had to make sure everything was done by the book. While some neighborhood councils in the city had funding issues, the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council remained fiscally sound under Alan's sure hand. Unfortunately, due to illness, Alan had to give up his duties as treasurer of both the BCA and the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council last year. But his tremendous leadership and his devotion to public service remain and will continue to remain sources of great inspiration to the people and neighborhoods he assisted. He was never one to trumpet his own horn, preferring instead just to get things done quietly and effectively, and that's what he did year after year, decade after decade. But in so doing, he provided an extraordinary and exemplary benchmark of how to achieve accountability with the utmost integrity and reliability for the sake of the community and its able representation. His memory will always be treasured by his family, friends, community, and city, and may he rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. I'm still looking at my right side now. I'll look to the left. I don't see any members. This meeting is adjourned.